Have you ever wondered why the more you try to show her that you care, the faster she drifts away? You offer consistency, patience, maybe even a quiet loyalty you wish someone would finally notice. You answer her messages quickly. You compliment her when she least expects it. You remember the little things like the way she takes her coffee or that story about her mother she only told you once. But something still slips. The energy fades. Her responses shorten. And suddenly, you're staring at a screen, wondering what invisible line you crossed. You think, but I did everything right. And that's the first place men go wrong. You thought right meant good, and good would be enough. But it never was. You didn't understand that for many women, emotional tension is more valuable than emotional clarity, that safety without seduction often feels like boredom, that kindness, when offered too quickly, feels like desperation. You thought you were loving her, she felt you were chasing her, and in her world, whoever chases lowers their value. This is where most men misunderstand women, not in theory, but in the heat of the moment. You assume showing up fully is attractive. You assume that making her feel safe guarantees desire. But attraction is not born from comfort. It's born from polarity, from a sense of challenge, of emotional movement. You gave her a calm sea when her instincts crave the thrill of uncertain tides. Imagine this: she pulls away slightly, her texts become slower. You feel the shift, and what do? You reach out more, you double down, you overcompensate because you believe you can fix her coldness with warmth. But here's what you missed: that coldness was not a mistake. It was a test, a power play, a subconscious move to see if your value would collapse under pressure. Because if she can control your emotional response, she controls the dynamic. If you flinch, beg, question, or plead even subtly, the game is over. She knows you need her more than she needs you. And once that happens, she can't trust your strength. She may like your heart, but she won't respect your spine. And without respect, desire dies a quiet death. This is the first brutal truth you must understand. Women don't test men to watch them fail. They test men to find out if they're real. Let me give you an example. A guy I once knew, let's call him Nick, was dating a woman he adored. She was smart, confident, a little wild, early on. She told him she wasn't sure what she wanted. Most men hear that and panic. Nick didn't. He listened, he nodded, and then he did something that flipped her entire psychology. He pulled back, not in anger, not in spite, just calmly, silently. He let go of trying to prove himself. He stopped texting first. He stopped reacting. He focused on his work, his health, his friends. No drama, no explanation. 3 days later, she messaged him, "Hey, are we okay? Do you see the shift?" He stopped playing the game on her terms. He recentered, and by removing his need for her, he became more attractive than ever. Because real masculine energy is not found in pursuit, it's found in groundedness, in non-reactivity, in indifference to emotional chaos. That doesn't mean you become cold, it means you become untouchable. Too many men think they understand women because they've read the messages, memorized the love languages, studied the dating tips. But understanding her psychology doesn't matter if you haven't mastered your own. You must become fluent in one truth. A woman's attraction follows your emotional independence, not your emotional availability. If she can push your buttons, she owns your power. If she can make you beg, she owns your dignity. If she senses that her moods dictate your self-worth, she will unconsciously start to resent you. Why? Because she no longer feels safe, and she no longer sees you as the man who could walk away. And the man who can walk away is always the one she wants to chase. You don't have to be cruel. You don't have to manipulate. But you do have to stop bleeding out your value trying to understand her when she's not trying to understand you. Most men collapse in this space. They try to read her shifting winds. They over-explain themselves. They apologize for boundaries they haven't even set. Stop explaining. Start observing. If she pulls back, you pull inward. If she grows cold, you grow still. If she throws chaos, you throw silence. The moment you stop being predictable, you start being respected. And when you're respected, she begins to reveal herself without needing to test you anymore, because she knows you won't dance for her attention. She'll have to earn your presence. Have you ever done this and didn't realize it pushed her away? Tell me what happened. What's the hardest thing you've faced when trying to keep a woman interested? Drop your story below. Which mistake do you see yourself making the most? Be honest in the comments. Most men walk into relationships thinking the game is over once she says yes, that the chase is done, the uncertainty ends, and now it's just a matter of showing her how deeply you care. But here's the brutal twist for many women. The game starts after the yes. That's when the real dance begins. And the moment you stop leading, she starts testing. You may not notice it at first. She'll still smile, still laugh at your jokes, still curl into you at night. But slowly, she'll start shifting. The compliments become rare, her tone changes, she becomes distant for no clear reason. And if you're like most men, your instinct is to fix it. You ask if she's okay. You overthink your last conversation. You try to be even more present, more attentive, more emotionally available. But she didn't need more from you. She needed to feel less control over you. Because deep down, many women fear losing interest in men they can fully control. Not because they want to be cruel, but because they associate challenge with value. If you're too eager, too easy, too available, she no longer sees the man. She sees the boy trying to please, and the boy always gets left behind. You think you're giving love. She feels you're seeking permission. This is where you must understand the emotional currency of power. When a woman pulls away, the power shifts. You can either chase her and confirm she's worth more than you, or you can pause, lean back, and test if she values you enough to return. Most men don't know how to do this. They panic in silence. They equate her distance with failure, and they begin the slow death spiral of over-explaining, over-offering, and over-justifying. Let me tell you about James. He was with a woman who, at first, seemed all in, sweet messages, daily calls, talks of the future. But one week, she got quiet, cold, didn't answer texts for a day. When she finally replied, it was just a dry, busy talk later. James freaked out. He called 3 times, sent 2 long paragraphs explaining how much he missed her and wanted to understand what he did wrong. And that was the last real conversation they ever had. Because he showed her something in that moment his self-worth was on lease. And she held the terms. The right move, he should have done nothing. No messages, no chasing, no desperation. If she was busy, then so was he. Not to punish, but to preserve dignity. Let the silence sit. Let her feel the absence. Let her realize he wasn't emotionally dependent on her response to validate himself. That's how you train a woman's psychology to respect you not through force, but through detachment. If she senses that her mood swings dictate your behavior, she will lose respect. Fast. You'll become her emotional project, something to control, not cherish. But if she sees that your world stays centered regardless of her storms, you become the rare presence that calms her chaos, not the sponge that absorbs it. That's when she starts chasing you. And here's the twist no one tells you most women want to chase. They want to feel pulled toward a man who is not constantly chasing them. They want to feel the thrill of uncertainty. the joy of earning your attention, the power of deserving your affection, not just receiving it by default. When a man gives without any resistance, he turns his value into a free sample, and nobody fights for free. That doesn't mean you become a cold, emotionless statue. It means you become unpredictable in your emotional availability, not as a strategy, but as a byproduct of having your own life, your own rhythm, your own internal validation. You don't chase, not because you don't care, but because your care is reserved for those who invest back. Women crave emotional gravity, and that gravity doesn't come from being always there. It comes from being difficult to shake. She has to feel your presence when you're not there. She has to wonder what you're thinking, whether she still has you, whether she's earning your heart, or if you gave it away too soon. So when she gets quiet, let her. When she pulls away, don't fill the gap. When she withdraws affection, don't try to win it back. Wait. Hold the frame. Keep living. She'll either rise to meet you or reveal that she never intended to. Either way, you win. Because here's the truth. A woman's withdrawal is not a call for rescue. It's a call for revelation. She wants to see what you'll do when she steps back. She wants to know if you'll collapse or stay rooted. Most men collapse. Don't be most men. Have you ever overreacted to a woman pulling away? How did it turn out? What's the one moment you wish you had stayed silent instead of chasing? Drop the story below. Do you think emotional distance can increase desire? Tell me what you've seen. The most dangerous mistake men make is assuming that emotional intimacy is the same as emotional investment. That if she opens up, tells you about her trauma, her childhood, her fears, she must see you as someone special. That her vulnerability means she's already yours. But here's what you don't see many women share easily, but commit carefully. They let you into their feelings to see what you'll do with them, not because they trust you, but because they're testing you. And if you take that bait, if you immediately start caring more, chasing harder, overcommitting emotionally, she doesn't feel safer. She feels like she's already won. And once a woman feels she's fully won a man, her attraction quietly dies. Let me be brutally honest. Most men get played not because they're weak, but because they confuse emotional connection with emotional leverage. They believe that being the one who understands her best means they hold a special place in her heart. But in her world, understanding doesn't always equal desire. She can cry on your shoulder and still sleep with someone else that same night. Not out of cruelty, but because she knows your loyalty is secured. You're not going anywhere. You gave her your power the moment you tried to rescue her from her own emotions. You became the therapist, the fixer, the man who listens. And while that should be enough, it isn't. Because in the raw currency of attraction, a man's value isn't determined by how much he listens. It's determined by how little he chases. You think you're being noble. She feels you're trying to earn her, and that subtle imbalance ruins everything. She needs to feel your presence without effort. She needs to sense your value without you explaining it. The moment you try to prove anything, you've already failed the test. Here's a pattern that plays out in silence. You meet a woman who's emotionally open. She calls you her best friend, says she's never met someone like you. You feel seen, you feel chosen. She tells you you're special, so you start investing more time, attention, devotion. She starts giving you less. You think she's pulling back because she's scared of love. No, she's pulling back because she's already in control. The power has shifted. You gave more than she had to earn, and when a woman doesn't have to earn a man's attention, she doesn't trust it. And if she doesn't trust it, she tests it. She ghosts you for a day. She flirts with another guy in front of you. She becomes inconsistent. And the more confused you are, the more power she holds. This is how emotional manipulation begins, not with lies, but with imbalance. Let me give you a real story. Mark met a girl in a coffee shop, let's call her Lara. They talked for 3 hours straight. Instant chemistry. Over the next 2 weeks, he drove her to work, bought her dinner, helped her set up her new apartment. She called him amazing. Then one day, she went silent. A full 48 hours. When she finally replied, it was a casual, sorry, been busy. Mark lost it inside. He asked if she was okay, if something was wrong, if he had done something. She said, "No, you're great. Just not feeling the spark, the truth." The spark didn't die. The chase did. Mark gave her everything too fast, and she never had to wonder if she had him, never had to worry if he'd walk away, never had to fear losing him. So her brain, wired for tension and novelty, began to detach. If Mark had held back just a little, she would have chased. If he had let her invest, let her wonder, let her earn his loyalty through consistent actions, not just chemistry, she would have respected him. But he gave himself away like a free trial, and she cancelled before the billing cycle. Here's the strategy you need. You don't offer emotional depth until she earns consistency. You don't share your heart until she's shown she can protect it. You don't give your time until she proves she values yours. And above all, you never reveal how deeply you care until she shows that she fears losing you. Because the truth is, desire lives in fear, not toxic fear, but the sacred fear of loss. If she doesn't fear losing you, she won't value you. If she doesn't value you, she won't stay. So ask yourself, have you been too easy to keep, too quick to offer, too available to ignore? It's not about being cold, it's about being deliberate, about not throwing your soul into a connection before it's earned its weight in gold. You are the prize, but only if you stop trying to prove it. Have you ever listened to her pain and thought it meant she loved you? What happened after? What's the moment you gave too much? Too soon, be honest. What did you expect in return? Do you think attraction needs fear to survive? I want your honest take in the comments. You keep asking yourself, what went wrong? But the truth is, it didn't go wrong. It went exactly as designed. Because in her world, the moment she knows she owns your attention, your approval, and your emotional energy, she stops needing to earn them. And anything that doesn't need to be earned eventually gets taken for granted. You gave too much access. That's where you failed. It's not because you were too kind or too loyal, those are strengths. But strength without discernment becomes a weakness. You thought your love would inspire her to love you back. But here's the uncomfortable reality. Women don't fall in love with effort. They fall in love with gravity. Gravity is that invisible pull of a man who doesn't flinch, a man who doesn't overshare, a man who doesn't try to convince anyone of his worth. You either feel it or you don't, but he won't chase to prove it. That's what makes him different. That's what makes him valuable. You keep getting trapped in patterns because no one taught you to hold the frame. No one told you that the moment you start dancing for her approval, you've already surrendered the masculine position, and you'll never get it back once it's gone. This is why some men who seem to do less end up with more respect. It's not magic, it's posture, emotional posture. The ability to stay calm when things get distant. The ability to observe instead of react. The ability to pull back before she completely pulls away. Let me show you how it plays out in real life. A guy named Eli met a woman who seemed perfect. They talked every day. Intense chemistry, shared playlists, deep emotional talks. She told him she'd never felt so understood. Then she said she needed a little space. Eli panicked. He asked, "Did I do something wrong?" She said no. but that she just felt emotionally overwhelmed. So what did Eli do? He wrote her a letter, not just a short message, a 3-page confession of how much she meant to him, how he was willing to wait, and how he'd be there no matter what. He thought he was being romantic. He thought he was being emotionally strong, but all she felt was pressure. She didn't want a promise. She wanted space, and instead of giving it to her, he filled it with his need to be chosen. That letter didn't pull her closer, it pushed her away. Why? Because she no longer felt freedom. She felt control disguised as love. A man who truly holds the frame doesn't react with emotional flooding. He pulls back, silently, calmly, letting her sit in her own decision, not to punish, but to preserve power. And here's the tactical truth whoever cares less controls more. It's ugly, it's unfair, but it's real. The one who flinches first loses the frame. The one who breaks the silence to seek validation gives away control. The one who tries to fix the energy always ends up being the one abandoned. That's not how you build desire. That's how you kill it. So, what do you do instead? If she pulls back, don't explain yourself. Don't ask if she's okay. Don't send the long message. You don't try to get her back. You let the silence stretch. You make her feel your absence. You show her that you can walk away and still remain whole. It's not a game. It's a boundary. It's not manipulation. It's masculine control. You don't emotionally collapse when someone else pulls their love away. You don't spiral into self-doubt when a woman becomes cold. You don't hand over the steering wheel of your self-worth just because someone else changed their mood. The strongest men aren't loud. They're still, because they don't react to emotion with more emotion. They don't chase validation, and they sure as hell don't beg for attention. They simply withdraw access, quietly. And that silence, that absence speaks louder than any confession of love ever could. You want her to feel the weight of losing you. Don't say a word. Just stop showing up. Because when a man detaches with dignity, that's when her panic sets in. That's when she realizes you're not like the others. That she can't manipulate you with silence or bait you with emotional breadcrumbs. You're either met with clarity or you walk. No second guessing, no explanations, just silence. And that silence becomes your power. Have you ever begged for clarity when silence would have served you better? What did it cost you? When was the last time you held back instead of reacting? What happened next? Do you believe in the power of walking away, or are you still afraid to lose her? There's a moment in every man's life where he stands alone in the aftermath. The messages have stopped. The calls aren't returned. And the woman who once smiled like he was her entire world now walks past him like he's just another stranger. And in that silence, the questions roar. Was I not enough? Should I have fought harder? Maybe if I had just said the right thing. But the truth is, you didn't lose her because you weren't enough. You lost her because you gave too much too soon without asking if she was earning it. You gave her your time, your heart, your loyalty, your emotional safety, all before she proved she could handle it. And in doing so, you trained her to expect everything for nothing. And when someone doesn't have to work for something, they don't treasure it. They weigh it, they test it, and eventually, they discard it. That's the brutal cost of misunderstanding women. You thought love meant giving her all of you. But masculine love, real, grounded, respected love doesn't look like emotional surrender. It looks like emotional leadership. It's selective, it's measured, it's earned. And now you know, every time you broke silence first, every time you explained yourself to ease her anxiety, every time you tried to win her back when she pulled away, you gave her more power than she knew what to do with. It's not her fault. It's yours. Because your job as a man isn't just to feel, it's to lead, not with force, not with charm, but with centeredness, with silence, with a kind of grounded stillness that tells the world, I don't need you to validate me. I already chose me. So what do you do now? You rebuild your frame. You stop trying to understand women in the way you've been taught through sympathy, through over-communication, through emotional bleeding, and instead, you begin to observe. You watch how she moves when you're not pulling. You watch who she becomes when you're no longer trying to fix her mood. You hold the silence when she pushes. And if she never returns good, you just saved yourself years of emotional servitude to a woman who was never willing to earn your depth. The right woman, the one worthy of your inner world, she won't test you with silence. She'll communicate with clarity. She won't bait you with withdrawal. She'll rise in loyalty when she sees you don't flinch. She'll respect your emotional restraint, not punish it. But you'll only meet her when you become the man who stops bleeding his energy for anyone who smiles at him. That man he doesn't chase. He doesn't explain. He doesn't try to be understood. He walks with presence. He speaks with precision. He protects his silence like it's gold because it is. That man can sit across from a beautiful woman, hear her story, feel her eyes soften, and still hold his center. He doesn't fall for potential. He watches actions. He tests back. He lets her wonder, and in that space, attraction is born. You were never too soft. You were just too available. You were never too emotional. You just handed your emotions over before she asked for them. You were never too loving. You just forgot that love isn't proven by what you give, it's revealed by what you hold back until it's earned. So next time she pulls away, you don't flinch. Next time she goes quiet, you don't explain. Next time she tests you, you don't react. You wait. You watch. You preserve your energy. And if she returns to a man she can finally respect. A man who doesn't dance for attention. A man who knows that real power doesn't chase. She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.